Less than a month away, discussion about election security.
6 News' Joe Harris tells us about efforts to make sure your voice at the polls is not tampered with.
On Wednesday, Nebraska Secretary of State Bob Evnen joined 3 other secretaries of state and federal officials to try and ease anxieties over the upcoming election security.
Our states are appropriate examples of how elections can be operated securely and safely. Nebraska continues to be nationally recognized for its secure election procedures. Earlier this year, the MIT Election Data and Science Lab rated our state 5th in the nation for election performance.
That isn't to say there are not concerns over potential risks.
There are cyber threats like ransomware, physical threats to election officials and polling places, and the very real threat of foreign malign adversaries, Russia, Iran, China, who are intent on undermining American confidence in our democratic institutions and sowing partisan discord.
The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, or CISA, is working with state and local governments and election officials to oversee the changing risks to the country's election infrastructure.
At this time, we have not seen specific threats from terrorists to elections. That said, as I think folks know, in Oklahoma yesterday, the FBI disrupted a terrorist plot that was apparently looking to create some sort of a violent attack around large gatherings on Election Day.
Easterly says that was an isolated case, but adds that it shows the potential for threats on elections. She says they're working to understand the full range of threats and helping prepare local election officials for them. Evnen says CISA has helped them hold emergency scenario exercises at 5 different locations in the state.
County election officials devised responses to hypothetical but very plausible emergency events that could impact election operations. CISA helped facilitate that discussion and offered improvements to further strengthen our incident response plans.
According to Evnen, all of Nebraska's 93 counties now have a service provider or IT department to handle security protocols and have their websites scanned weekly for vulnerabilities. On your side, Joe Harris, 6 News.
CISA says if you're not confident in the election process, be a part of it and sign up to be a poll worker.